So today, all this month, like I said, I've been focusing on increasing our visibility. That's how I want us to start the year, getting ourselves out there. Um, Spiritual practitioners, I have noticed in my time working with so many different ones that we have some things in common, and we have some habits and things that we tend to have, that we repeat. And one of those things is I have noticed that spiritual practitioners tend to not be really huge on putting themselves out there. Most of us don't start tarot reading or energy healing or spiritual work because we want to be content creators, because we want to be influencers, because we want to be famous, because we're trying to be on TV. We start doing this work oftentimes because of our own traumas, our own life circumstances that lead us to go looking for spiritual solutions that then are so effective for us that we want to share them with the rest of the world. And then it becomes clear that in order for us to do that work and be able to actually afford to do that work, that we have to charge folks, and we need to build businesses, and we need to create products, and we need to have income coming in so that we can actually do this work for others. And then comes the part of realizing, oh shit, I have a business. I have to market this thing. I have to get people to come my way. I have to get people to sign up. That is wild. How do I do that? And all of a sudden we get thrown into this world of having to become master marketers and advertisers and learn things that we never thought would be relevant to what we're doing. And so because we have that struggle, because we never really intended to put ourselves out there like that, that has had me really thinking about the question of how do spiritual practitioners increase their visibility, regardless of whether or not they want to make content, want to be on camera, etc. How do you make sure that people know your business? When someone thinks about what you do, when someone thinks about massage, when someone thinks about acupuncture, when someone thinks about tarot, how do we get them to have your business be the first thing that comes into their mind? And social media is something that has so much of our attention that the first thing people think of when I say increase in visibility is social media. I got to post more. I got to get more followers. I got to make more content. And what I've been realizing is, wait a minute, businesses have been promoting themselves for a long time, long before social media was ever a thing. Let's not forget about all of those other ways in which businesses advertise themselves successfully. Social media is just one part of it. Okay. It's one part of a puzzle of ways to get yourself out there. Obviously, social media has the benefit of pushing you further than you probably physically could go, right? Somebody in Japan could find me tomorrow, and it would probably take me some time before I would be able to actually get to Japan. So it helps me in that regard. But the thing is, your immediate network, your immediate area, whether it's regionally or what have you, your immediate circle is where you first want to make sure everybody knows you. And this was something that I realized at Witchwork, because we have, 5,000 people online that follow us, and people from all over the country and the world are hearing about what we're doing. And, oh, that's great. I wish there was one in my town. And yet I kept meeting people who live here in the neighborhood who are like, who are you? What? There's a bookstore? There's a co-working space? Where? Over there? Oh, is that what that is? There are people in this building who still don't know what I do. In this building, this physical building that I'm in, that walk by our door, don't necessarily have a need for us or know what we do here. I am still 3 years later meeting people who have no idea who we are. And so we put our focus on social media and want the whole world to know us, but we don't ask ourselves whether or not the people on our block, the people in our building, the people in our town, in our local PTA board, at the local community board. We don't ask ourselves if any of these people know who we are and what we do. And I want that to be our focus as spiritual practitioners. We can touch the people who are right next to us more effectively than we can people all over the world. And if every single spiritual practitioner makes sure that every person near them knows what they do and knows I'm the person you should call when you have this situation, then we reach more of the world that way. We're actually more effective that way. So realizing that made me say, okay, how the hell am I supposed to get people right here to pay attention to me? Yes, I can do ads, I can do mailers, and I've tried that. We've sent out mailers through the postal service. We've done, ads on local stations and things of that nature. But then I said, okay, let me take my message out to the world. And shout out to my friend Perrin, who's also a small business owner here, who really pulled me last year. He literally booked me a hotel room at a hotel in Harlem for my birthday and was like, you are going out. You are going out. I am tired of seeing you sitting here in this office and telling people to come see you. You need to go out. You need to shake hands. You need to tell people what you're doing. And you need to put yourself around people who are like you. Because right now, the only people who you interact with are potential customers of your space, potential clients of your space. But where are your peers? Where are the other people trying to start spiritual businesses or just businesses in general who might have ideas, advice, resources, references? You don't have to figure everything out. There are people out there like you who would love to meet you, would love to know what you're doing, and who might be able to work with you. So he literally dragged me out of here. And I'm so glad that he did, because the minute I started doing that, things started to change for me. And the amount of progress that I have made in terms of making sure that everyone in the Bronx and New York City knows about us has been huge. The flyers, the ads, none of them did what me going out to these events, shaking hands, handing out our business card, telling people to follow us online has been doing for us. So I have come to learn that networking really, truly is the most effective way for spiritual practitioners to share what they do with the world. And the beautiful thing about it is you don't have to be a content creator. You don't have to make a single video. You don't have to go viral. You don't have to start a YouTube channel. All you have to do is be your amazing self, walk out the door and go shake somebody's hand and say, hi, this is who I am. And this is what I do. So because networking has become so effective for me, I wanted to talk to you guys about some best practices and ways in which you can start utilizing this as a part of your marketing strategy, your strategy to increase visibility for yourself and your spiritual business right now. Okay. So I think the first thing to know is that networking events, can come across as a little bit stuffy. They might not seem like the thing that spiritual practitioners will do. They seem really corporate. They seem really, not necessarily very holistic. And that might, actually be the case. Once you go to one, you might feel like, well, it's kind of a stuffy crowd. But a couple of things to keep in mind in terms of just choosing events. Not all networking events are stuffy like that, but not all networking events would be super useful for you, right? So a networking event that's mostly for banking professionals or things of that nature might not really produce a room full of people who would be super interested in what you have going on. Okay. But a networking event for local small businesses or holistic practitioners, there are tons of wellness networking events for practitioners, for wellness spas, etc. These are all great options for you to consider that might put you around people that you feel a bit more comfortable with. Don't discredit the stuffy ones, because I get surprised every time I go to an event that really doesn't seem to be like, well, I'm going to find a lot of spiritual people up in here, but everybody is stressed the fuck out. Everybody is freaking out about life, and everybody is looking for solutions to their problems. So whether somebody is a buttoned up suit corporate individual or whether somebody is a yogi on a mountaintop, they have problems. Okay. And you might have the solution. So don't discredit them. But I encourage you, if those environments don't feel like the best space for you, to broaden your idea of what a networking event looks like. The other thing I want you to do is to recognize that any event can become a networking event. What makes something a networking event really is your intention. Your intention to say, I'm going into this room and I am going to shake hands with everybody there, or I am going to get 5 business cards, or I am going to get 10 people to follow me online, or I'm going to get 1 person to get on my mailing list. When you go into a room with the intention of, I am here as a representative of what I do and of my spiritual business, and I am here to make sure that everybody knows that, then anything becomes a networking event. Some of the best connections that I have made have been from going to some of the local pop-ups that have happened in the neighborhood. There are some food like events. Some of my best connections came from going outside, leaving the shop, taking the chance, being like, I'm just going to go. I'm going to leave the door open and run outside. Going outside because across the street there was a vegan food market. Also, I was hungry. But aside from that, there was a vegan food market going on. And I was getting ready to prepare for tea and taro. And I was like, I was short on vendors. I didn't have any vendors for the event. I was really busy. It was kind of coming up. I was almost considering like, damn, should I just cancel it? Should I just skip it? And then I went out to the vegan fair and I was like, wait a minute. There's someone selling soaps. There's somebody selling incense. There's somebody selling t-shirts. These are like people that could vend at my event. So I got my vegan dumplings and then I went around and started shaking hands and giving people cards and was like, I'm having an event. Would you want to vend? Do you vend in the Bronx often? Would you want to come back for another event in the same neighborhood a month from now? Would you want to do an event? Da-da-da-da. And I just started. And before I was done with my dumplings, I had my vendor spots filled up just from the vendors that were at this other event. Okay. And so that's not a networking event per se, right? But I decided I'm going to make this a networking event. I'm going to talk to people. I'm going to make sure everybody knows what I do. I'm going to show them, hey, we're right over there. Did you notice that storefront that you probably walked by? Come check us out. And I started doing that regularly. And every time there's an event out on 161st Street now, I go out. I close the shop and I go out and I say, hey, what's going on? And then I would bring people back. I would walk back over. Oh, you sell candles? Oh, I would love to see your shop. Oh, well, I'm outside right now, but if you wait a minute, we can all go back together. Okay. And I've taken groups of 5, 10 people and brought them back here from meeting them outside at the market. So anything can become a networking event if you set the intention of, I am here to make sure that everybody in this room knows what I do and how I can solve their problems. Make sure that they all know how to get in touch with me. Okay. Knowing that, what I encourage all of you to do is to put one networking event per month on your calendars for 2025. Okay. And remember, it doesn't have to be the networking event, right? It might be just an event that you want to go to, but that you're going to with the intention of, I am going to find my next client here. I'm going to make sure everybody knows what I do. And I'm going to participate. I'm going to shake hands with the people who are orchestrating the event. I'm going to find out if I can maybe participate next time, set up a booth, advertise myself, send flyers, whatever. I'm really going to make this event about me and getting everything I want out of it. So pick an event for every month of the year that's local to you and put it on your calendar now. Okay, put them on your calendar now. Maybe put a few extra on there so you have some options. But commit yourself to going to one per month. Huge. Okay. When it's time to get ready for your events, you need to prepare yourself. What I encourage you to do is to practice your pitches. Now, if you're enrolled in one of the coaching programs and you've already gone through this exercise with me, you already know about what I call the real pitch. Okay, back in the day, we used to call this the elevator pitch, but nobody talks to each other anymore, right? Linda, you know the elevator pitch, right? We had to get it down to, if I were in the elevator with an executive that could make my dreams come true, I have until this person gets to their floor to tell them what I do and why they want to work with me. Nowadays, I call it the real pitch, the REEL, because you're more likely to see somebody on the internet than you are in person these days. And I call it the real pitch because people's attention spans have gotten less and less. So if you can tell somebody how you can help them, how they can get in touch with you in under 90 seconds, you're in a good spot. You're in a good spot. Okay. So practice your real pitch. Maybe you even do it on your phone. Maybe you even post it online. Who am I? Who are you, my ideal client? What is your biggest problem? And how do I solve it? So that's why we practice our pitch when we start our refuel sessions. They'll always be changing. My pitch is different depending on who I'm talking to and, all of that good stuff. But in a minute or so, I want to be able to help anybody I meet understand exactly why, whatever their problem is, I've got the answer. So practice your pitch. Also, be prepared with materials. Do not discredit the business card. I know it's 2025. I know everything is digital. I know you're going to have a bunch of hotshot young folks talking about the business card is dead. It's all digital now. I don't believe that. I don't know what circles, folks who say that run in, but every single event that I go to, the business world, for those of you who have been in corporate, you probably know the business world tends to be kind of slow when it comes to like getting up on new hip things, right? Like the business world is still very much operating on PC. It's still very much paper. There's still, there's less printing and faxing and paper stuff, but it's still very much like a paper oriented kind of a space. And at the end of the day, people, at least at the events that I have attended, especially if they are specifically networking events filled with business professionals, people are passing around the business cards. People are asking for cards. Do you have a card? Do you have a card? Do you have a card? It's still a thing. It's still a thing. Okay. And so I like to say yes. I like to be able to say yes to people more than I say no. So when I realize that people are still asking for business cards, I keep a stack in my pocket, not tucked away anywhere, but right in my pocket during the event. So it's just quick and easy, boom. It's not, do you have a card? Oh yeah, 1 second, hold on. Let me go look for that. No, I want to be able to really quickly say, boom, here you go. Here's my information. Option number 2 is the socials. I want to make sure that I'm ready to go on that. If you don't have social media set up or you don't feel like it's a good representation of what you do, of course you have your website. But if you don't have a internet presence that reflects what you do, the tricky thing about leading people to your website is you can't capture them in any way. And the better way to approach this is to be able to capture people in some way. So putting people on your mailing list would be the next best option. And then there are some digital business cards as well. I had a really cool experience. I think I'm going to steal this. I have to ask him what the platform was. But Winston, for those of you who are coming to the networking event next week, you might meet Winston. Winston is the newest treasurer of the Bronx EDC and a professor of entrepreneurship at Manhattan College, I believe. And when I first connected with Winston, he said, oh, scan this QR code on your phone. I scanned the QR code on the phone. And what was cool was it didn't just give me Winston's information. It asked for mine. And so I got put into his database. I'm totally ripping that off. I'm getting that set up before my next networking event. Next Friday, I'm going to have that set up for myself, because I was like, that is fantastic. Get that person's information, but also get them like right in your database and on your mailing list to start getting emails from you is fantastic. But however you decide to go about it, prepare yourself the night before or before you go into it. Have materials that make it easy for people to connect with you and know who you are ready. Have your pitch ready and have a goal ready. I am going into this event and I am going to get 10 business cards. I am going into this event and I'm going to give all my business cards out. I want to shake hands with every person in the room, etc. Okay? Set a goal, prepare yourself with your materials, make it really easy for people to keep in touch. Then when you're there, I want you to engage. And this is, of course, the scariest part, because now we've got to go and actually talk to complete strangers. The beautiful thing about events that are specifically advertised as networking events is everyone in the room is there to do the same thing. Everyone is there to do the same thing. So everyone has the same sort of level of anxiety and nervousness about breaking the ice for conversation, but everybody's really open to it. So the one thing you never have to worry about at a networking event is if you turn to someone and say, hey, I'd like to get to know you, that they'd be like, no, I'm not here for that. Okay. It's like, why are you here? Right. So at least, even if somebody has like, what do they call it? Resting bitch face, or if somebody looks like they're not trying to be bothered, the whole reason why they're there is that they are. So go ahead and say hey. Okay. Go ahead and say hey and engage. You might need to be the one to break the ice. And one of my favorite ways to break the ice is just to ask people if they've been there before. Hey, is this your first time here? Have you been to an event like this before? Do they do these often? And then you can go from there. Oh, great. Well, this is what I do. This is my first time. It's great to meet you, etc. So you're going to want to engage, take advantage of your opportunity to talk to as many people as you possibly can. Record as much of it as you can. If you can grab some photos or grab some videos, this is great. Okay. And the reason why that is useful is because it helps for promoting yourself. It helps for making content. It helps for photos for your website, etc., with you interacting with other people. Okay. If someone says that they are a public speaker and on their page there's no evidence that they've ever spoken publicly, then that person's going to be not my first choice if I'm looking for public speakers, right? So you being out in the world, engaging with people, doing your work, promoting yourself and your business and your services, recording some of that is great material for future promotion, whether on social media or otherwise. And then finally, the part that most people fall off on, and the part that can stand in the way from a networking event really being truly beneficial to you, is the follow-up. Usually we leave the event, we've got a pile full of business cards and we put them into a junk drawer and we say, well, if I ever need someone to help me with my lighting, if I ever need a website developer, if I ever need, I'll call this person. Instead, what you want to do is 24 hours after the event, you want to reach out to that person by email, socials, maybe even by phone, and say, hey, it was really great to meet you. I just wanted to check in and let you know if you ever need such and such, I am available. Or I had this thought, I'd love to actually sit down and have a call. We didn't really have time to really talk because it was so busy. I'd love to have a one-on-one, and schedule a one-on-one meeting with those people. Schedule a one-on-one meeting with those people. Maybe they'll become a client. Maybe you'll collaborate on something, but don't just leave it at the event. This is where most people drop the ball. Going to the event is good. Following up after the event is great. Okay. It allows you to be in the front of that person's memory, and it allows you to turn a 5-minute, hi, nice to meet you, this is what I do, blah, 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 into a real, like, oh, I know this person. Like, we've talked before. Right. Maybe turns into a coffee date. Maybe you grab lunch. Maybe you visit each other at each other's locations, or you make plans to link up at the next event. Maybe you share, hey, you know what? Like, would you want to know about future events? If I go to another one of these, like, would you want me to let you know? Like, yeah, okay, great. We could go together. Would you want to carpool? So this is how you turn those 5-minute meetings and shaking hands into actual relationships with people. Follow up 24 hours later. Tell them how great it was to meet them, what impressed you about them. Tell them that you'd love to talk with them further about whatever, and send them a link to set up a call with you, or make arrangements to grab coffee together or something like that. That is going to build your social network immensely. And that is really important. As a solo entrepreneur, it is very lonely. It is very, very, very lonely. And getting clients and customers is great for the business, but that is actually, it's not that that's not your community, but it's only one part of your community. The other part of your community are the people who are not receiving your services, but understand what you are doing in order to make your services available to the world, and may be able to collaborate and help and support, etc. Okay. So that's our game plan for networking. One networking event per month we want to attend. Not all events have to be called a networking event to become a networking event. So if you're like, oh my gosh, there's no networking events happening near me, go to your next, festival, farmer's market, and turn it into a networking event. Shake hands with all the vendors, get to know the organizer, etc. Prep yourself well so you're prepared and can be efficient. Okay. Record as much as you can, retain as much information as you can, engage with as many people as you can, and then 24-hour follow-up afterwards. If you do this every month, by the end of the year, I'm telling you, you are going to be in such a beautiful place. You will not only have more clients and customers, but you will have more working professionals who can help you get to the next level. You don't have to figure it all out on your own. You're not alone. You have people you can reach out to, and that is so important. All right. So let's open it up for some questions and commentary. We've got some great stuff in the chat. Marlene has shared the link to the spiritual companion GPT. So I definitely hope you take advantage of that, Linda. And hopefully Marlene will also post this like in the feed in the bunker too. So folks who weren't here can access it. But it's super, super cool and really impressive and very helpful. And then Linda says, have a QR code on your business cards. Have it sent to a landing page that is only for those who have your card. This way, you know how they find you. I love that. That is really, really, really great. You can, I like to use UTM tracking. After taking a digital marketing course, I've gotten big into UTM tracking. So all of my QR codes and links are built in with UTM tracking on the back end, which allows me to see where traffic is coming from. But if you're not, if you're like, what the fuck is UTM tracking? You don't need to go take a digital marketing course. Use Linda's idea. That's a genius idea. Have the QR code on your business card go to a landing page just for those people. Or if you are working with, let's say, MailChimp, that's my recommended mail server. You can set up sign-up forms or landing pages through your mail server that are specific for that. And then your mail server will keep track of where they came from. But that's a really genius idea to be able to know how many people are coming into your world from these events. So you can really see if they're benefiting you. I love that. Any questions or comments on increasing visibility for your personal businesses? How are we feeling? Are we feeling like we're in a good place? I know, Marlene, you've already thrown a bunch of people on your mailing list, so you probably feel like, yeah, visibility is increasing at a really great rate. But maybe there are some questions that we might have about that. So I'll open it up to any questions or comments before we wrap up.